Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Yeah, you may have noticed that things are a bit different behind me. Here's what happened. The managerial staff at my apartment sent me a letter. Dear Sir, due to noise complaints and liability issues related to giant robot attacks, invasions of interdimensional gods, and other such incursions, we have decided that the only fair thing to do is to raise your rent to $10,000 a month. Guys, we're moving! So yeah, I've moved into a rental house. The nice thing is we can rebuild the security system from the ground up, something long overdue, and I know today was supposed to be a Patreon-sponsored review of some My Little Pony comics, but with the recent loss of Comicron 1, I've got to admit I am not feeling it.
Pony.
So I think I'll do something different, and because of the short notice of this move, I had to take what I could get, and what I could get was being roommates with Vega from the show Idols of Anime.
Hello.
She is a My Little Pony fan and has been quite insistent that I do this review here.
Yes, I've been insistent. One other thing I tried to insist on is the fact that you didn't even want my help writing this. You haven't even watched an entire season. You don't even know how they met. You don't know anything about Pinkie Pie, my favorite pony. You didn't even see the latest episode where the Griffin wanted a cutie mark. You don't know anything about Starlight Glimmer or Equestria Girls or any of the things.
If I do the reviews, will you leave me alone?
You should be doing them for the Patreon-sponsored people.
Your logic is sound.
And that is the power of friendship. Pony.
Wait a second, that's not a pony. This is a Zebstrika from Pokemon.
I ran out of plushies!
If you have somehow eluded the internet for the last several years, My Little Pony was rebooted in 2010 with its fourth iteration. Yes, like many franchises, while the series faded from the larger public eye, it never did actually die, rebooting or expanding several times to varying degrees of success. The premise for this series, at least in its initial seasons, was that the uptight, serious-minded pony, Twilight Sparkle, is sent by the ruler of their equine kingdom, Princess Celestia, to the town of Ponyville to learn about friendship and to stop obsessing over potential threats to her empire, even though she was totally right. Back when I started Atop the Fourth Wall, Sonic the Hedgehog comics were the things that people all wanted me to review, but now those requests have shifted to the stories about tiny horses. And fair enough, I get requests to review comics that people actually like all the damn time. It's not just Patreon sponsors who have requested it. It's casual viewers who would like me to spotlight good stuff. And from everything I've heard, people really like these comics, say they're great, and of course argue in the comments on my site when I announce the upcoming episodes list about the ones chosen by a patron for me to cover. I have watched several episodes of Friendship is Magic, mostly thanks to Vega.
Review that comic too! It has 80s high school John Hughes ponies.
They were fine. And I've seen other people review it, so I'm familiar with most of the basics of the series, but it's just not for me. If you like or hate it, great, but don't expect me to nitpick every single little thing that's out of place. Remember, kids, you asked me to review things at your own risk. Everyone was dying for me to review those Malibu Comics Street Fighter issues, and then were disappointed with the review because I know basically zilch about Street Fighter. I've done so many reviews of Star Trek comics because I'm a huge fan of the franchise. I know, I hide it so well. But if Pinkie Pie has the wrong cutie mark in this comic, don't expect me to point it out is all I'm saying. I am judging these two issues purely on their own merits, and people have told me they're awful, but it's entirely possible I miss out on why that is. Then again, they're apparently thinly veiled environmentalist PSAs, which can be in a near-universal language of suckitude. So let's dig into My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, number 27 and 28, and see how these four-legged animals wielding dark sorcery can save the trees.
Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life
Our cover shows that maybe the trees don't want any saving, since they're attacking a group of ponies with tentacles. It's sad when I can't tell the difference between an official licensed product and somebody's fan porn.
There's no porn in ponies.
Really?
Maybe just on the internet. Pay the rent!
Actually, we know there's nothing icky about this. Clearly the trees just wanted some muffins. We open on the main six having themselves a picnic. Spike, Twilight Sparkle's dragon assistant / eternal servant, is cutting slices of a cake for everyone, including Pinkie Pie here, who I'm pretty sure is actually looking at the knife Spike has and has probably decided that what her cupcakes need most is flesh. Anywho, the picnic is interrupted by Zecora, a zebra who lives nearby, running like hell from some wolves that are apparently made of wood. Also, she speaks in rhyme. Away from the wolves you must run! Twilight Sparkle, prepare to stun! What, you thought we were done with Star Trek? Phasers on stun, Ensign Sparkle! Twilight quickly gets to work organizing the ponies. Rarity, however, is not happy. Why do I have to help? Because someone you know is being chased by wolves, asshole! This generous spirit that Rarity possesses is shared by Pinkie Pie. Her priority is to save the cake by eating it. Applejack is rearing to go fight the wolves, although Fluttershy is too distracted by a remark she made about cow tipping. And Rainbow Dash, in turn, is distracted by Fluttershy's remarks. Fortunately, some of them finally getting around to dealing with the wood wolves, poofing them into sticks, leaves, and twigs. Today's episode, kids, is about proper lawn management and care. Vines start sliding out of the forest, and Zecora explains that said vines overran her home and chased her out of the Everfree forest. What's worse, the vines are headed right to Ponyville. Zecora recommends contacting Princess Celestia on this one, although Spike is already in the process of doing so. For some reason, communication in this world is via the dragon. It burns up messages sent out, then coughs up a reply. And you know, for a species that doesn't have hands, they can sure write letters pretty damn quickly, since Celestia sends her response only 2 panels later. It seems the vines are encroaching on every town bordering the Everfree forest. Oh, and we see the downside of being able to write so fast. She misspelled there twice, and received. You'd think royalty would know about I before E except after C. Anyway, Celestia says she and Princess Luna are headed to get help from somewhere, but that it's up to Twilight Sparkle to head into the Everfree forest herself, find the heart of the forest, and ask for assistance there. You know, let her do all the hard work.
I'm the government, I'm the government, I'm the reason nothing works.
The heart of the forest, according to the others, is a legendary monster that lives in there with horns, hooves, glowing green eyes, and will eat their cutie marks right off their asses. Ah, so My Little Pony has Mr. Computer in their universe too. Zecora stays behind so she can try to figure out a way to fight the vines. A potion I can try to make. I hope it works, for all our sake. Pretty sure the potion is called kerosene. Anyway, our heroes force their way inside of the forest, now covered by a dense amount of vines and trees, and immediately fall upon a group of monstrous creatures. This includes a giant owl with arms, 2 large bats, some kind of noseless hydra, a winged cat, and deadliest of all, a giant koala. Faced with such a force, there is of course only one plan these brave, powerful ponies that wield magic and super speed and the ability to sew without arms can commence with.
Run away! Run away! Run away!
And indeed, they make their escape, with Twilight and Applejack knocking over a bunch of trees to try to create a wall that will keep them from pursuing. And somehow, Pinkie Pie is doing the Gregland porn face pose. Or at the very least, she is staring into your soul. Look into her deadlights, my friends. That is the path to everlasting despair. Neat sign, though. Not very many uses, I can imagine, but it's a cute font. Unfortunately, the monsters don't seem to agree, being able to swipe through the trees and get a good chunk of her hair. You know, I bet Pinkie Pie's hair tastes like cotton candy. They speculate that something has happened to make the monsters so aggressive, but are interrupted by the arrival of a deer, one who laments the trees knocked down to block the monsters. The ponies believe he must have been trapped in the forest, but he denies that. My name is Bramble, and I am not a fawn. Don't treat me like one, ponies. Oh geez, what a bigot. He used the P word. Oh wait, Man, look at how pissed off he is at Applejack's leg. Even he knows that's not normally possible for a horse. Anyway, he says the ponies have to leave since the heart of the forest won't like them here, but they say Celestia sent them to speak with him, so he agrees to take them to him. They ask about the forest, but Bramble says the heart will explain everything once they reach him. Would he like it if I organized our questions on index cards first? I can color code them. Oh yeah, that'd be nice, Twilight. The first card should read, "Get your head out of your ass and focus on the task at hand." They reach a chasm with no way to cross it, and they figure they can just pull down a tree to use as a bridge. After they do so, however, Bramble goes nuts. You're killing it! They just uprooted the whole thing. I think it's completely dead. As if the writers realized how stupid that is, Bramble changes his tune about what the problem is. Not that the forest is some conscious entity they need to protect, as implied by his "you're killing it" remark. He points out that the tree was home to squirrels and birds that they just screwed over without even a second thought. Naturally, both he and all the animals that lived in the tree are peeved, and it's a good point, especially in this world where a lot of the non-sapient animal population still seems to live in harmony with the sapient part. Hell, Fluttershy's entire friggin' thing is talking with them and calming them and stuff. Fortunately, Bramble has a solution to this. The little barrel around his collar contains some kind of quick-growing vine water. The vines spring up and grab the tree, putting it back into place. That was magic! He's a witch! Burn him! Apparently they're shocked that a deer can use magic. I don't know, maybe it's a thing in this universe? Whatever. There's a voice that says it's arrogant to presume that only ponies can use potions. Except the word balloon makes it look like it's going to Bramble and not another deer that emerges from the forest. Our magic is not unlike that of the potions of the zebras. We harvest our magic from the earth and plants around us. Behold the magic of this plant. We call it marijuana. They summon up a vine bridge to cross the chasm, and for some reason Spike and Bramble are glaring at each other. It goes nowhere and has no reason for being. They just are pissed at one another out of nowhere. They realize the vines look just like the ones invading everywhere, but no time for that now. The new deer, Blackthorn, escorts them to Thicket, the city of the deer. And really, this is why it's good that they didn't try to push the forest is a living thing and cutting them down is murder angle. Because Thicket is a city made of and carved right into a bunch of trees. I mean, yeah, using a tree for a bridge, you're a sick, twisted freak, but making elaborate giant doors out of wood? Oh, well, that's perfectly okay. Gotta love Thicket's design, by the way. Late Wookiee, if I'm not mistaken. That being said, I do like that the trees have ramps on them to explain how the hell they walk up to their houses. The heart of the forest appears, revealed to be the Deer King Aspen, who happens to have a heart-shaped jewel around his neck. Okay, dumb question, but I know that unicorns in this world use telekinetic magic to forge and build stuff to get around the lack of opposable thumbs, but how the hell do the deer manage to pull this stuff off if their magic is based around potions? Anywho, the ponies bow to King Aspen. Princess Twilight Sparkle, I presume. I've heard mention of you from Celestia. I know you've given the space-time continuum an aneurysm several times now. Aspen explains that the vines and trees encroaching on pony territory is a tit-for-tat measure, one that these ponies are unaware of. Bramble says they should explain the situation to them just in case they really are ignorant of what's happening. You see, the Evertree Forest is a very delicate ecosystem. We that live here, not just the deer, but every creature from the tiniest grasshopper to the largest hydra, need the land that we have to survive. What would this ecosystem be without deer poop to fertilize things? The forest has been disappearing at an alarming rate, and he shows them what's causing it. A construction site manned by both ponies and minotaurs. Coming soon! Fun Land, amusement park, and Equestria's largest parking lot. What do you need a parking lot for if nobody in this world has cars? I mean, it's possible that automobiles exist in this world. They do have trains, after all. But I looked it up, and cars have never actually appeared on the show. Hell, even the construction crane we see here is being pulled by another pony. And by the way, that must be one hella strong pony if it can haul that thing around. Anyway, our heroes are aghast, wondering if Princess Celestia knows about this. Aspen says he sent messenger birds to Celestia, but they haven't gotten an answer. He also tried to talk to the construction crew directly, but they haven't seen reason either, even damaging the soil to the point that even if they left, nothing would be able to grow at that point. Okay, King Aspen, let me see if I understand this situation correctly. You are the widely described heart of the forest, and you are a king. I have to assume then that the Everfree Forest is your sovereign territory. Your country, so to speak. Your territory has been violated by a party that refuses to cease encroachments on your land, and your attempts to speak with your respective ruler of the country that is invading your territory has been met with silence. And considering the philosophy your son Bramble seems to exhibit, I have to assume it was taught to him that the trees are home to other creatures under your dominion, and their lives have been destroyed or harmed by this devastation. Basically, these minotaurs and ponies have committed an act of war upon you, and your response is to counterattack every single area surrounding you, except for the one spot that you are still being invaded? Our heroes are convinced they can get the boss of the construction crew to leave, a Mr. Well-to-Do, of the Boston well-to-dos, no doubt. He is also accompanied by Bugsy Pony here, whose cutie mark is no doubt a machine gun. Although, given his look, it does make me wonder if Equestria has speakeasies. Anyway, Twilight asks him to cease construction of the amusement park, but he says he can't because it's progress! I'm advancing society. I'm giving folks a place to relax with their friends and families. I'm giving them a fun, colorful setting to build memories. I'm glad somebody finally recognizes the societal benefits of a Dippin' Dot stand. So the guy continues on with his transparent villainy. Let me put it this way. Equestria doesn't need trees and fluffy bunnies. Fluttershy takes this statement well, as you can see. Oh my god, she's gonna eat him! It needs easy parking, paved roads, and affordable family entertainment. It's called progress! Well, you're progressing too fast. Every tree you tear down, the forest pops up another one through some pony's window somewhere else. Well, that'll keep my construction company in business, won't it? Okay, he's a complete asshole, but he's kinda got a point there. The deer have the ability to instantaneously grow building materials. It sucks that this is happening, but why don't they make a deal to offer this ability for them to grow cheap, fast trees for construction projects as long as they relocate the park somewhere else? Or is this just cutting down trees is bad completely and absolutely, as said in this book made of wood pulp? Anyway, he throws them out and leaves his business card. That's 200-pound cardstock, gold embossed. You like the serif on the font?
Oh my god. It even has a watermark.
The others are worried that the ponies of Equestria would actually visit the park. No! I mean, I know progress is important, but at what cost? What's to say he won't just tear down the entire forest? Where would all those animals go? The magical creatures? Would they all just go away? Twilight, he was using a friggin' buzzword. If this was actually about progress, he'd talk about how many people he's employing, or he'd be building a friggin' hospital instead of a place to ride roller coasters. In fact, it's Aspen who actually argues more about progress than the dumbass Minotaur did, pointing out the damage to the people well-to-do employees that would occur given the situation. But that point is entirely ignored from here on out. As far as this story is concerned, well-to-do is evil and cutting down the forest is wrong. Mind you, in this situation it is wrong, but only because the villain is one-dimensional, despite an easy out with this, and there are no real complexities to this entire thing. Hell, despite Aspen acknowledging the fact that destroying the construction crew will screw over the jobs of the construction workers, he apparently has no concern for the lives he is destroying with the expansion of the forest. Anyway, Twilight is convinced that Celestia knows nothing about this and decides to use Spike to directly send her a letter. However, the issue ends with the message teleporting right next to Celestia and Luna, who are tied up and hanging upside down in vines, thanks to the vines having overrun the palace. You can reply back that we'd love to help, but we're too busy hanging around. Ha! Didn't you own the moon once or something? No dark magical powers here, just puns and easily captured by friggin' plants. Issue 28's cover features a smiling, happy Pinkie Pie skipping away while a group of monsters converge on her. Or an alternate interpretation, Pinkie Pie's army of nightmares that she's leading. Either way, great cover. We open where we left off. Celestia and Luna trapped in vines, with Celestia able to telekinetically write a reply to Twilight, Ponyville overrun by vines, and a bear apparently, and our heroes saddened by the inability to make anything grow in the now barren soil of the area where the amusement park is being built. Celestia's letter has arrived, and she denies all knowledge of this amusement park stuff. And we see that the messenger birds that had been sent to her were intercepted by Gangster Pony. Even though by now, what's even the point of capturing them? Celestia knows about it. Rainbow Dash says they should call this one a loss and just relocate Ponyville, but Applejack points out that if they let the guy get away with this, there's nothing to stop Well-to-Do to continue his expansion and business practices. We cannot take the land back, he's already poached. He's effectively killed it. Nothing will grow there now, and I can't give you back the land we are taking from Equestria. My subjects need it. I am sorry. Dude, Celestia just told you she does not endorse this guy's operation, and he is invading your territory. You have carte blanche to friggin' end him. If you can overrun a royal palace and potentially the most powerful sorcerers in the land, you should be able to handle some asshole trying to build a tilt-a-whirl. However, Twilight Sparkle wants to try a non-violent, peaceful protest. This ends exactly as you would imagine, with hippies and really awful signs. Trees are ponies, too. Well, there it is. The stupidest thing I've seen all year. Possibly my entire life. But let's not give in to hyperbole yet. The comic is still young. When this brilliant plan ends with them being bulldozed away, Twilight next suggests a boycott. Naturally, the 6 of them are not exactly going to hurt the sales of the business. Especially one not open yet. And what's worse, Well-to-Do is producing bootleg Twilight Sparkle figures to be used as a mascot for them. He calls it Twilight Sporkle. When your amusement park is too cheap even for Philly witchy bootleg toys, you know you're a penny pincher. The group is thrown out again, this time with Well-to-Do's slushy that he was drinking. Rainbow Dash and Applejack are livid and have decided peaceful solutions are for chumps. Unfortunately, their failure in the non-violent department has convinced Aspen that they'd be ineffective in the violent department, so he says they've got to get their asses out of there in the morning. That night, Rainbow Dash and Spike spot Bramble leaving to investigate the construction site. Strangely, the spot where the slushy hit the ground is now growing grass and small vines. Unfortunately, Well-to-Do and his goon catch him. Rainbow Dash wants to rush in and save him, but Spike stops her for some reason. Rainbow Dash moves at super speed. She can knock these two on their asses and be back before you say Equestria girls. But whatever, Well-to-Do has some sort of plan for the kid and takes him inside. Spike and Rainbow Dash running back to inform Aspen of the situation. And indeed, on the next page, they do just that, with him ready and willing to go on a rampage with his own magical powers of green heart-shaped murder. However, to their surprise, Well-to-Do and his goon come in with Bramble tied up. His demands are that he and his forces stop trespassing, and that Aspen becomes the new mascot for the amusement park, since his focus group likes cute animals and organic food and etc. Or, you know, Xerneas can gut you right here and now. What? As far as this country is concerned, Well-to-Do is a criminal who kidnapped his son and threatens his land, and you've got him right there! Problem solved. But, you know, kids show, so the logical option is rejected. He still refuses, but Well-to-Do reveals that he forced Bramble to sign that same contract, meaning he would become the mascot in a binding employment contract. Okay? 1, I'm pretty sure he's a minor. 2, if you have contracts in this world, that means you have contract law, which means agreements signed under duress are null and void. 3, screw you! It's his country and he doesn't have to do jack! Again, stab him with your antlers! But no, he signs and is taken away. Blackthorn is brought back into the story and the situation explained. However, he's a sharp one and points out that because of this contract, Aspen is no longer ruling the forest, allowing Blackthorn to become the ruler in his absence. And he didn't personally sign any damn contract, so there will be retaliation. And there will be blood. And he's smart enough to take advantage of the pony's presence, asking Twilight and Fluttershy to go to the monsters of the forest and recruit them to their cause. They succeed there, proving that Fluttershy is really more effective as a wrangler and leader of monsters than she is as a peaceful protester. After telling Aspen their plan, the monsters and forest denizens gather together in front of the construction site. Citizens of the forest, Today we unite for a fight that will show those hard hat-clad villains that they cannot take away our homeland. Today, the tiniest bluebird is just as important as the mightiest dragon. Tonight, we dine on steak. And just as Blackthorn says, Spike fist bumps a bluebird. Go for the eyes, Tina. My Little Pony, friendship is violence. Pinkie Pie even puts on the Braveheart makeup. Oh geez, she's not gonna moon them, is she? Anyway, Well-To-Do responds to this gathering with an army of bulldozers. Said bulldozers accidentally knock over a barrel containing the material used in making the slushies, and when it seeps into the ground, vines and grass start rapidly growing from it. Well-To-Do addresses the army and talks about how he doesn't give a rat's ass about their homes or trees, he just cares about money. Because he is an idiot, and I guess thought that would be convincing. Instead, they are overrun by monsters and deer, who have modified their attack plan to now knock over more barrels so the plants of the area can be restored. It's weird how in this comic, that's the plan of the good guys, but in another comic, this is Poison Ivy's grand scheme and Batman has to stop it. The plants grow rapidly and completely overtake the area, destroying the buildings and fun park construction easily. So again, considering you sent vines and trees out into Ponyville, why didn't you just do this from the start, Aspen? Well-To-Do swears to return with more bulldozers, but is chased off by the Hydra. And it is implied that he is eaten. You know, for kids! The area is the forest again, and all the workers seem pretty okay about the fact that they just lost their jobs. After dealing with the goon, the deer help clean up the damage they did to Ponyville. Celestia finally shows up to talk things over with Aspen. However, Pinkie Pie comes up to her.
This has been like a crazy adventure, right? Do you think it's worthy of a stained glass window in the castle? Huh? Is it? Because I designed one for it on our walk home.
Pinkie Pie, this design is you feeding the heads of the construction workers into a grinding machine for your cupcakes. She wants permission to commission it, and Celestia reluctantly approves. And so our comic ends with them unveiling this stained glass portrait, featuring Pinkie Pie riding on a roller coaster alongside a raccoon holding a sword. In other words, the best stained glass portrait in the history of ever. And yet for some reason, Celestia and Luna don't like it. What the hell? These comics are okay for the most part, but they do kind of suck. As I've pointed out during the review, a lot of the problems with this situation could have been solved very easily. Sure, these kinds of solutions are not exactly what you want to see in a story for little kids, but there you go. As for the criticisms regarding the environmental message, yeah, it's kind of bad, but it's not as awful as I was expecting. Stuff like Bramble being upset over the destruction of a tree because of them being living things is eye-roll worthy, but stuff like how just destroying things willy-nilly is harming local wildlife because of carelessness is a much more effective message. It's not helped that Well-To-Do is so transparently awful, downright evil in his methods, and complete disregard for life. I know real people like this exist, it's just it doesn't make for compelling drama when he's such a one-dimensional character. The frequent cries of his about doing this in the name of progress seem like a middle finger to anyone who would like to see something legitimately useful built by using lumber, or whom need to cut down such areas. It even comes across as hypocritical, considering the ponies are not exactly going to stop using wood for constructing their own homes and whatnot. The humor is for the most part. I got a chuckle here or there from Pinkie Pie's antics at least, and the idea of organic food being some kind of miracle grow formula is pretty funny, but otherwise it was mostly bland. This comic is certainly not the worst I've ever seen, but there are a lot better stories with environmentalist themes. Next time, another anniversary celebration for this year. It's time to pay tribute to the franchise all about children's card games.
Okay, now that that guy's gone, we could do a proper review of My Little Pony 27 and 28. Now, this part of the comic, when it first came out, people were really happy about it because it opened up the world building for this pretty much deer people and some more stuff that's secret about the Everfree Forest. Now, if you don't know, Everfree Forest is this weird zone where the weather and creatures actually take care of themselves because ponies have to take care of everything. It's a weird thing. Which he would know that if he watched season 1. Talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. How about the My Little Pony card game? Anyway, yes, it has a big environmental message and stuff like that. And yeah, you can see from some of the dialogue that well, it has that same show charm. But the thing about it is, I don't really care that it has a heavy-handed environmental message. Maybe it's because I come from the generation that grew up on Captain Planet. He's a hero. Gonna take pollution back to zero. I also have to disagree with him with his little porn comment. Has he not watched Rotsuka Doji, aka... I forgot the non-Japanese name. Oh man, how am I doing the Idols of Anime where I can't even remember hentai? But anyway... Yes, the best part of this was the Gordon Gekko Minotaur, which he didn't even make a reference to Wall Street. You call this guy a nerd? Like, Linkara just... What problem I have with Linkara? He didn't even really give the show a chance. Like, I tried to show him so many episodes. I showed him the time travel episodes, and he actually really did like that. I showed him the Weird Al episode. He couldn't get enough of it. He loved it.
Pokemon!
It's a secret... Ah!